Call the meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, August the 11th, 2020, and it's 9:02 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, August 7th, 2020 at 3:15 p.m.
Thank you. Okay, let's stand briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have a pledge to the flags. So at this time, we have a couple of call-in public comments. So the first one will be Faith Castillo with the Civil Rights Program or Project. Good morning.
Good morning.
Faith? Is Ms. Castillo on the line?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Welcome to McLennan County. You're in the public comment part of the meeting, and so if you would like to begin, please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Judge and Commissioner. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this morning. My name is Faith Castillo, and I'm an Election Protection Legal Fellow with the Texas Civil Rights Project. TCRP is a civil rights organization that advocates for Texas communities and boldly serves the movement for equality and justice in and out of the courts. The Voting Rights Program focuses its work on tackling the systemic issues that suppress voting rights from voter registration to the moment an individual casts their ballot. Uniquely, our work gives rise to a data set unlike any other, drawn from the actual experiences of voters across Texas. This information allows a window into the current state of elections down to the county level that we then use to work with election officials to be more inclusive and helpful to every voter. We encourage McLennan County to add voting locations, especially in low-income communities and communities of color. These populations of Texans face many obstacles in voting and are not always able to afford or access childcare transportation that is outside of their work or home route, to wait in long lines and lose work time, or otherwise take care of their families while waiting to vote. 15 minutes might not be a big deal for a lot of us, but it can make a huge difference for those less able to afford the wait. And when 15 minutes then drags into hours into the night, the number of voters who can afford the wait gets lower and lower until only the wealthy and able are left to cast a ballot. That's why we highly encourage McLennan County to increase the number of polling locations. Overall, we want to highlight the importance of listening to the community when a particular need is presented to add polling locations in order to best serve that need of the community. We recognize that the county has previously worked with TCRP to address the need for polling locations within heavily monitored areas, and we want to thank you for your continued effort in listening and responding to your county voters to make sure that every eligible voter is able to cast a ballot that counts. Second, we also recommend that McLennan County look into having drive-through voting locations. Harris County conducted a drive-through polling location during the July primary runoff in a parking garage where voters drove through, parked, and casted their ballot using a portable voting machine, all while being offered sanitizer, mask, finger cover, and sanitizing wipes. And this proved to be a tremendous success. In feedback they received through a survey, voters raved about feeling safe while exercising their right to vote through an easy, efficient alternative to voting inside a center. On average, voters stated they would recommend drive-through voting to others at a rate of 9.66 out of 10, with 10 being the highest recommendation. And when asked why they chose the drive-through method rather than the traditional walk-in voting, 58% cited they did so because they were concerned for their health and safety. We at TCRP understand that Harris County is different from your county, but we believe this would be a great solution to balance the health and safety of voters across Texas. And with the high voter turnout that is expected, it is crucial that your county adequately prepare voters from all of its communities to have their votes cast and counted. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. All right, next we have Mary Duty, who is the current chairman of the McLennan County Democratic Party.
Voters, their voices cast, their votes cast and counted. Thank you so much for your time.
Mary?
Yes.
Good morning, Mary. You're in the public comment part of the Commissioners Court meeting. So if you would kind of give us your name, what your title is, and keep your remarks somewhere between 3 minutes or less. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Apologize for running in here at the last minute. I was sitting here reading this morning the letter from the Texas Civil Rights Commission that outlines the issues they found with the 2018 election. And of course, I knew we had a letter sometime back. This is such a huge election we have coming up. We need to be ready to serve all the voters. My task as a party chair is to be sure that everybody gets a free and fair chance at casting their ballot. As I understand it, I don't even know what the current status is of the request that was being made this morning, but I want to just get my 2 cents worth in as far as why it matters. We have an election coming up that will shape the future of the planet, basically. And everybody, we've been pushing getting everybody there. When you, problem number one, we're sending voters back to a voting center in Robinson that was seen of a COVID outbreak of sorts. The airflow was not sufficient for whatever reason. It's the only vote center in McLennan County that had a problem with transmission. And I think part of that may have had to do with the amount of air conditioning and the airflow turnover and all that. I have to get an air conditioning man there to tell us what we did there. But I think we need to look at what it would be like to move that out of that little room, that little box, that little petri dish that center became. That's just my 2 cents. I worry about our friends in Robinson going into that building after we had a problem there. The other part is, has the county addressed in any meaningful way the concerns of the letter of September of 2019? I was not able to find anywhere except the fact that we put a same-day voting center at the Riker Gym up in North Waco as a olive branch, so to speak, on the minority voting. But it doesn't address the fact that the early voting is 3 weeks and we have no significant place for our minority voters in South Waco to access a safe place to vote. It's the first time I've done this, so I feel a little bit like, what am I doing here? I know we're going to be doing some voting today. We're going to be doing some discussion about all things voting. But I want to keep on the table the fact that we need to be darn sure that the voters that walk into all our buildings feel comfortable, and that the airflow is going to take care of them, that we have enough sanitizer and enough of the various supplies that we need to be sure that everybody has peace of mind as they go in to vote. I'd like to have a conversation about the Robinson Vote Center. Heck, we could make the South Waco Community Center the sort of we could invite all our friends from Robinson to come vote at the South Waco Community Center. I mean, that would work. It's a nice big building. It's new. I think the rent's free, but that would be something we could do.
Okay.
We don't need to be written up in journals and presented at conferences about voting irregularities. And apparently our case was discussed nationwide from 2018. So I would like to not have that happen again.
Okay,
Let
well,
me know what I can do, the party can do. Thank you.
thank you for your comment.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate
Bye.
y'all.
All right, bye. Okay, also today we have a proclamation or a resolution. And I would like to, Commissioner Miller, if it's okay, I'd like to hold that just a few minutes. I'd like to go to item G2, which has to do regarding the November 3rd, 2020 joint general election. So approval of the order of the joint general election day voting centers in agreement with the agreement to conduct joint elections. So Kathy?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I received an email from Esmeralda Hudson, the city secretary for the city of Waco, yesterday at 5 o'clock, and they have decided to withdraw the request for the early voting location at South Waco Community Center. So
Okay.
given that, I provided you with the order that was provided August the 4th to be approved without that early voting center, and also with the 34 election day site for y'all to go ahead and order the November 3rd election.
Okay. All right. The order of joint general election has been sent out. It should be in your package. Is there any questions or comments regarding that? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Judge,
Yes.
I just had one, and
Okay.
I respect the city of Waco's actions. I would just like to get an understanding, or rather a clarification, in regards to the 2019 letters. They are a year old, from the Texas Civil Rights Project. One is dated September 24th, 2019. One is dated November 7th, 2019. In it, there is a sentence that referenced that McLennan County may have violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act during the November 2018 general election, in the way that we provided for voting access to a minority demographic. And if we have county attorney on the line, I would just like to get a response to the letter and a current status of where McLennan County is in regards to this letter.
Yes, and I'd like to, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to clarify, what I think is sort of some misinformation. We received those letters. We immediately got with the Texas Civil Rights Project. Their concern was over having another election day polling place in South Waco. We talked to them. We went over places, and we came up with the St. Louis Riker Activity Center. We actually had to do $5,000 or $6,000 worth of, or having to do ADA work to make that center work. They were very happy with the resolution. They indicated that we had worked well with them. They were, we had taken care of their issue. And so there is no remaining issue there from their standpoint. Also, as far as national attention, that was in a partisan, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's not national attention. And so we have done what the Civil Rights Project asked us to do. And, you know, in the process of looking at early voting centers, we feel like we have done the best we can do and have good coverage. In 2011, the same center was used for a municipal election and only 28 voters showed up for early voting. So, I mean, you also have to look at where you place these is going, whether it's going to actually serve its purpose. But there would have been, you know, we did not know about this until kind of the 11th hour. So you don't have time to really analyze everything. But as far as Civil Rights Project, I talked to them as late as yesterday afternoon. They confirmed that they were happy with us. We'd done what they asked, and there's no further problem.
Okay, Commissioner Miller, does that pretty much answer your question?
Yes, sir, it does. Yes, sir.
Okay, and your thoughts on this action item?
Well, if there are no more questions or comments, I would like to move that we approve G2 regarding the November 3rd, 2020 joint general election, the approval of order of joint general election, election day vote centers, and the agreement to conduct joint election.
Okay, is there a second? Commissioner Jones, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. Call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Dalton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
And Commissioner Perry is online.
Is it Commissioner Perry?
Aye.
Okay, pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to go to item E2 regarding the FY21 budget. So Francis?
So regarding the 21 budget, just to give you an update and a reminder, we're working towards the August 25th date, which is the date we'll have a hearing on the budget, and then we'll also be adopting the budget and the tax rate. So of course, until that time, we can make any changes to the budget that you would like to make. I believe today, Commissioner Miller may have a proposal to discuss regarding some personnel.
Okay, Commissioner Miller?
Thank you. I know at the last meeting, we were talking about our parity and outlier report that was submitted by Human Resources to the court. And the judge gave us homework to go through that data provided by the Human Resources Department, and perhaps we could each come back with a plan, and then the court could kind of do a buffet, pick and choose what we considered would be the best remedy to it to put into the 2021 budget, and then we could move forward as far as personnel actions and a resolution to next year's budget. So I have provided to the court after consultation with the HR director, and I think everyone should have my memo. Did everyone get an email copy of my memo?
I did.
Yep. Okay. Okay. It's a little lengthy, and I didn't want to read it all, so I'm glad that you all are looking at it. But in essence, what I did is I looked at some of the departments that either, number one, the department head or the elected official had submitted reorganizations plans to the court, and there were positions that seemed to be on the outside of those reorganizations. And so my suggestion would be that we would allow Human Resources to visit with them and see why those positions perhaps did not make their initial reorganizations, if they had any ideas on what they were going to do with those positions moving forward before the court added any money or any action to them. And so that is pretty much my strategy for the county sheriff position and the positions in the criminal district attorney office. When it comes to the county health services position, my suggestion would be to allow, that's a newly appointed department head, to allow her the opportunity that we allow newly appointed individuals to do whatever reorganization she's doing. It is my understanding that she is currently in the process of doing that. And so I wouldn't take any action on her position until we allowed her to come back with a total plan. There were two departments, human resources and purchasing. They had outliers on the report, but they also have been given new positions moving into next year. So, in speaking with HR, I would suggest to them that they incorporate their new position and see how those responsibilities and functions then line up with the positions that are considered outliers, and give them time to assess what the new position does to the functions of those positions before the court would do anything to that position. When it comes to the Veteran Service Office, I know that that department is currently under review by Human Resources. And so, given the fact that we don't have a solution or finalization on exactly how that department will look, I think we need to wait until the conclusion of that review before we would do anything to any positions in that department. On the road and bridge precincts, it would just, and this is my personal opinion, I don't intend to speak for any other commissioners, but the equipment operator positions, I would look at next year only because they're not true outliers. Their discrepancy does not raise to the level of $3,500. And so I would visit those next year. Although the mechanic position, if that was something the court wanted to do this year, I wouldn't have an issue with that. So all that being said, it left three departments that I would put forward as far as addressing. And so the bottom of my, the second page at the bottom of my memo says that therefore the following parity outlier issues would remain. It would be my suggestion in regards to the county treasurer, the accountant one, chief deputy treasurer position, that I think the court has already adjusted the pay grade to A28 based on what HR has provided. She has also outlined that in order to align this position with other like positions in the county, she's given a salary, and I would accept her recommendation on that salary. The engineering department, GIS tech, it would be again my suggestion to follow the recommendation of human resources. In regards to the justice of the peace precincts, it would again be my recommendation to follow the recommendation of the HR department. Oh, excuse me. And the cost of those recommendations would come to $26,534 plus benefits and fringes, but the auditor's office has provided me a final amount. And Francis, I printed out your memo, but could you give that amount to the court if you have it in front of you?
Sure. So with taxes and benefits, it's $32,207. And then also assuming that you would add the 1% COLA on top of that, and then also add those positions into, or they already are in the incentive pay plan, adding 2% of that amount, grand total comes to $33,380.
That was a little lengthy, but Judge, that would be, that's my homework for today, and I just put that forth for consideration by the court and to, I guess, start the discussion.
Okay.
Mr. Miller, let me ask something on the Justice of the Peace Precincts. It says for all JP clerks and then for all JP clerk chiefs. Is that that's a uniform unless they're making more currently, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, any questions for Commissioner Miller? Okay, Commissioner Miller, so I'm assuming this presentation could be construed as a form of a motion to approve this?
It would be if I had support. I don't want to put it forward and doesn't have support.
Uh, uh, we didn't get any questions, so I don't know about, the only way to answer that question is call for a vote. So is there a second to that, motion?
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Perry, second. Any other discussion? Okay, no other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Dalton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Okay, passed. And, Commissioner Miller, thank you for the presentation. Good work. Okay, anything else, you have on FY 21?
No, sir.
All right. Okay, going back to the top of the agenda, under D, under proclamations and resolutions. Mr. Miller, you have, I think you have a PowerPoint that you'd like to present to the court.
Yes, sir. If we could put it up. In essence, what this is that it was brought to our attention that homeowners were being affected with flood issues out near Masonic Road. And so because of the enormity of the project, I just thought it was appropriate. And I think projects like this just help to benefit the total county. And so he's a shy individual, but I wanted to give him his flowers, they say, while he's living. But I want to thank Precinct 3 for all of their help with our Masonic Road Covert project. That is the group from Precinct 2 that worked on the project. And we can go kind of fast. Those are the Precinct 3 crewmen who worked, Foreman Johnny Miner, David Dees, and Kenny Will.
Okay.
Okay.
Kenny Kujay.
Okay. And I just really appreciate these gentlemen. They worked in 90+ degree temperature, and you will see as the slides roll exactly the type of project they had. But we started in June of 2020. It was determined that the rail cars needed to be replaced. In that ditch work, we had to deepen the ditches along where the culverts were going to be installed. And when we finished, it has allowed for more efficient water flow, and it has reduced, we're hoping, we haven't seen great rains, but see how big that culvert is?
That looks good.
Yeah. And so I know Precinct 3 replaced a culvert of this size on their end. And so we're hoping that those homeowners, when we get the flood seasons, won't be impacted by water like they have been in the past. And again, I say, sometimes we don't give our road and bridge men the credit that they get, but they're out there in 90 degree, 100+ weather. They're out there when it's 30 degrees and freezing, and they show up, and they really do a great benefit on behalf of the county. And so I want to thank my men. And then I also wanted to thank Commissioner Will Jones and his men, because they came and they worked as hard as they would have. Leave that slide there for a minute. And they worked as hard as they would have for him. And I don't know if we would have been able to do it without him. And the last quote by Babe Ruth says, "The strength of a team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team." So again, thank you to Commissioner Jones.
You're welcome.
All right.
Commissioner Miller, and this just goes to show what can get done when cooperate. And that one culvert washed the road completely out, and the people couldn't get it. The Masonic Road was closed for quite some time, and it didn't dry up quick enough, and so we pumped the water out and got it done as quickly as we could. But it's just good cooperation all around.
Good. Thank both of y'all for that. And I think that's a reminder that the residents in each one of the precincts travel to other precincts as well. So it's really, we got to make it where people can get around to all precincts. Okay, thank you very much. And I would entertain a motion to approve this for recording purposes.
So move.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell.
Aye.
Commissioner Miller. Judge Felton.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, going to, under item E, under budget amendments, under E1 regarding the FY20 budget. E1A is Information Technology Assessment Fund for Human Resources. Call on Lisa Fetch.
Whoops. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, this item here, we are carrying over from the last meeting. We were able to have a vendor come out on site and do the evaluation in the HR meeting rooms. We have KHT Electronics working with us. They submitted a proposal for their video conferencing and presentation solutions in both those spaces. And that quote has come back at $12,138.71. Additionally, 2 computers will be needed and needed to be provided by the county to support those systems in each space. We were unable to get those quotes in time for the meeting, or actually in time for my memo. I did get some information late yesterday after 5 o'clock. It is looking like we can get both of those computers for about $4,000. I have not gotten an official quote from Dell yet. We will need an additional $750 for the necessary Microsoft Office license and wireless keyboard and mouse. I had in my memo projected an expense of $17,389 approximately. We can drop about $500 off of that. So we would come in under $17,000 to complete the needs in those spaces. So I was coming to Poor Court today to ask for your approval to proceed with those purchases to complete this project. Oh, and this would be spent from the IT Assessments Fund.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? If no other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell.
Aye.
Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Judge Felton.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass.
Thank you.
Okay, going to item E1B, Human Resources. This is the transfer, line item transfer of total of $7,000 to purchase a computer. Paraphernalia not included in the purchase order for the last, in the last court session. This is taking $7,000 from part-time pay and to furniture and equipment and other services and charges. Any questions anyone have? Not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for vote.
Commissioner Snell.
Aye.
Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Judge Felton.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Under bids and RFPs, under F1, the authorization and recommendation for RFP 20-020 asbestos abatement and demolition in the old downtown jail. Ken?
Yes, sir. We received responses from American Abatement, J.R. Ramon Demolition, RNDI Companies, Robles One LLC, and Saber Demolition Corporation. Through evaluation with the help of TJ and maintenance, we recommend that McLennan County grant the award for asbestos abatement and demolition in the old downtown jail, including the ad alternate we had in the proposal for the asbestos abatement and demolition in high five to American Abatement in the amount of $446,660. But at this time, we did not include a contingency amount in the original proposal, but we'd like to request from the court an allowance for a contingency amount of $25,000 be included in the recommendation. American Abatement submitted the best evaluated proposal, and we have our accompanying comparison. And I will say that we did call American Abatement in. TJ and I visited with them, and we feel comfortable with this recommendation.
Any questions?
Where are we gonna take that money from?
Bond?
That's where the budget is, the money coming from.
Yes, so definitely something we can take out of bond funds
Yeah.
if that's the way the court would like to.
Right, and that was the intention, if the court approved it, is that we would utilize bond funding for that. Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to take recommendation of purchasing director Ken Bass on the asbestos abatement and demolition of the old downtown jail.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Okay, under G, under additional items and discussion, under G1, discussion or action regarding the McLennan County Facility Master Plan and office relocations. Call on Ken Bass, Lane Dunham, TJ Jackson.
Good morning, everyone. So we basically just wanted to take a few minutes this morning and talk to the court, kind of where we stand on a few of the projects we've got going on. We want to take a minute and talk about ADA projects and where we are with those projects and kind of how they fall down the line moving forward. I want to talk for a few minutes about active projects and see if there's any questions in relation to those, and then get down to some future projects that we want to discuss with the court. So I guess we'll start with the downtown jail demolition. Did anybody have any questions about that or the direction moving forward?
No, I think everybody feels comfortable where we are right now and want to get started.
Right.
Well,
I'm excited about that project. It should be a good one.
Well,
Yeah.
but do we want to bring up this time? I didn't bring it up during the recommendation, but there were some other amounts that, as far as the project goes, it wasn't amounts that were actually included as part of the proposal package, but we have some other things that we feel need to be done in the jail
Right.
during the time of the demolition. And one was saw cutting 2 locations in the building so that there's access from High Five area to the old downtown jail. And I knew, TJ said 2, I knew of 1. I'm not sure where the second.
So the second location would allow us access from the alleyway into the secured hallway leading to the elevator up to the holding cells on the 3rd floor. So we're still going to need a way to transport inmates to their court hearings. So that was our best recommendation on doing that, is we would saw cut an access point into the side of the building and close off that hallway. That way we could still give them transportation they need.
But cutting into the exterior wall to the interior, we felt like we probably need a little engineering help there before we just start trying to cut a hole in the wall.
Good idea.
So we have engineering fees for about $4,500. We have the saw cutting in 2 locations for $8,800. Then we have doors and hardware to secure the holes that we cut. And then we also need some construction lighting through the buildings because we're taking all that out and just so having access and so people don't hurt themselves, putting in some lighting after the demolition. And we have a number of about $16,500. And what we kind of wanted, this is going over the deal, but this is other monies that we need in that project overall that are outside the scope of the proposal that we have on the demolition.
So,
It's a total of $37,100.
okay, so are you saying that we need approval for that? It's part of that motion that was just made, it needs to be amended to add those?
Well, I'm just thinking a separate motion because it's outside the scope of the demolition. Even though we're doing it at the same time to accomplish some things, but I do want it to be part of that project.
Dustin, advise us on if we can take additional action on that.
Yes, sir, we can. We could authorize moving forward with that work, and then we can, kind of just bring back a budget amendment or whatever Francis thinks to be able to handle it.
Okay, so can you bring back another budget amendment?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Didn't realize that we had one already.
So since you approved that one bid today, and then if you approve this additional amount, we can just do one budget amendment to include both of those and move the money into the appropriate line.
So I'm not clear. So Dustin, do we add these items that he just presented as additional action item under?
I think they could just be a part of the budget amendment that's brought back next week for action, since the court's been made aware of them, and that action would be enough to move forward with them.
Okay, I got you now. So we don't need to have action today. Just bring it back when we do it all under the budget amendment. Got you. Any questions about that? Okay, if not, TJ, go ahead. Ken.
Okay, so we'll start off with our ADA projects that we have active and then the ones that are coming up in the near future. So as the court's aware, we've got juvenile going on right now. They did run into some issues with some plumbing behind the new anti-ligature fixtures that we're putting in. So we've surpassed a little change order to get the plumbing modified back there in the chases. So they'll wrap that up probably in the next 2 weeks to close out that project. And then we'll continue on. The Extraco building, ADA modifications are going extremely well. We did have a discussion with John Irwin late last week. We've got some items that need to be taken care of on top of the original ADA scope. We've got some roof leaks and repairs that need to be done over the restrooms along the Coliseum. We've got some toilets and urinals that were not part of the original project that need to be modified to meet ADA height requirements. And we've got some patch and paint work on some of the hard ceilings throughout the facility. So with court's approval, we'd like to issue some field orders for John Irwin to go ahead and take care of these items. They've got an original built-in contingency of about $70,000 within that project. With these modifications and changes, we'd use about 21,000 of that. So we'd like the court's approval to go ahead and issue those field orders.
Okay, is there a consensus that would be okay to move forward with?
Could you go over those again, please?
Sure. We had some roof leaks and repairs over the existing restroom facilities along
Where are
the
the roof leaks?
They're on the flat roofs above. We've got some issues with the curbs not being tall enough, so we need to cut in some new parapet drains, as well as we've got lots of little fine details that weren't finished up, evidently on the last roofing project that was over there, as far as some caulk work that needs.
They're not under warranty?
No, it's not under warranty. It's all workmanship related, And the contractor who had done that job originally is no longer in business.
So this is from a long time ago. Then.
Yes, yes, sir.
This has not been replaced recently.
No, no, sir.
Okay, all right.
And then there were some toilets and urinals that were not caught during the original survey that are outside of the limitations on ADA height requirements. So those are going to have to be fixed up. And then we've got some ceiling work that needs to be done throughout the facility where we've had roof leaks in the past and it's all just deteriorated and needs to be rebuilt.
Okay, so I would guess you bring that back. I mean, I don't hear anybody objecting moving forward, but just, I guess, bring it back under a budget amendment to cover it. Dustin, would that be, or Francis, would that be the best way to handle it?
Yes. And
Well, Judge, sorry, Francis, go ahead.
I say, and I think this is a part of the ADA project that we had already approved.
Oh,
and so we're using bond funds for that project. So like you said, we can bring a budget amendment.
This is out of the contingency funds. So the money's already there or should be and budgeted. And that's why we're calling a field order and not a change order.
Okay.
So
And
we
Judge,
already have money.
Yeah, with it being a field order, it's not changing the total contract price. Where normally a change order, we would bring those back to court. So we were hoping just to make the court aware and then to be able to go ahead and access those contingency funds to just process these as field orders to move forward.
Okay.
Got it.
All right, I understand it. Anybody have any questions about that? All right. What's next?
So moving on, we've got the courthouse ADA modifications that still need to be made. CPNY is still working with the Historical Commission to determine exactly what type of hardware we need to go back with. So that one's kind of still in the works, still some work to do on it on CPNY's end, but we're getting closer to a resolution. The next one that's going to be up on the list for a bid walk is going to be the MHMR. So CPNY has been working with the director over there for quite some time now to try to dull down everything that's exactly needed. We've had some discussions about anti-ligature fixtures. I don't think we're going to go that route just at the direction of MHMR, but we should see that come out and get into Ken's hands for a bid walk here within the next couple of weeks. So that one's moving along fairly well. So keep in mind, along with that project, we'll probably do an alternate for the roof recovering of that facility. That's one that's been on our list for a couple of years now that we definitely want to take care of. So that'll be part of that project as well.
Okay.
So if there's no questions related to those, we'll move down to active projects.
Okay.
So the auditor's office remodel is part of the basement reconfiguration that we approved this year. So we're going to start her flooring the first part of next month. We'll start her painting towards the end of this month to get her all fixed up. So that project should run pretty smooth and we should finish it up before the 1st of October. The downtown detention center basement demolition for the district clerk's file storage. We've engaged with a demo contractor who's going to come out and help us finalize the demo since we don't have our trustee groups anymore to help us with that. So we'll get all that stuff wrapped up and hopefully get John's filing system moved in before October 1. And we've got the Road and Bridge 2 building that's coming along fairly well. We've got the structural steel that's wrapping up. So we're going to start enclosing the building over the next 2 weeks. And then we'll move forward with the interior portion of that project. It's going to turn out really, really good. So we're excited about that. Then we've got the central planet archives that was approved through court last week. So that unit has been ordered. It's got an 11-week lead time, and then we'll schedule with the archives group to have a day of shutdown within the facility to change that unit out. We're starting on the Cobb's Annex server room, the backup server room that was approved this year in hopes to have it wrapped up before October 1. We've got a long way to go on it, but I think we'll be able to make it just fine. And then, of course, the Trading House Lake project is starting to wrap up. Thanks to Commissioner Miller, her guys will be back over there next week to finalize the Summerfield parking lot. And that'll be our kind of last element of that project. We've got 5 park signs that are being created for us. We'll get those installed, and then we'll start talking about how things look for a ribbon cutting ceremony, whether that's, you know, September, October, November, just depends on how things kind of fall out in the future. So we're excited to see that take place. That's kind of it for the active projects. Do we have any questions on those?
Any questions?
No, I just want to say, TJ, it looks like y'all are doing a super job. I want to thank you. You're at least being able to attack a lot of projects at the same time and get some of this stuff handled.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. We've been busy at it, and hopefully next year we'll get some more going. It's kind of what we enjoy to do.
Okay. What's next?
So moving forward, there's a couple of projects we want to talk about with the court that have kind of previously been discussed. So the courthouse 4th floor phase 2. Phase 1 was the law library transformation into the specialty courtroom. Phase 2 is actually the old grand jury space that's going to accommodate some meeting rooms as well as some restroom facilities. So we've engaged CPNY back into the project. They're working to finalize the documents so we can take it out to bid. Hopefully we'll have those within the next month. So we'll bring those numbers back to court once we have all that information. That way you guys can make a decision on whether or not you want to proceed.
Okay.
We've got numbers coming back in for the sidewalks and ADA modifications for that St. Louis Riker voting center. Hopefully I'll have those for the next court date. That way everybody can see them and we'll get approval on those to make those modifications. It's not a whole lot, but like Michael was saying, I think it's probably going to be somewhere between the $4,000 and $5,000 range to make those modifications. So we just want to get the court's approval on those before we proceed.
Okay.
And then we've talked a couple of times over the past year or so about some modifications to the purchasing and maintenance building. We will start kind of ramping up on that, coming up with a plan to bring to the court to show you guys what kind of space we're going to need over here and what kind of modifications we'll need for the future. It's kind of one of the things that's been low priority on our list, but we've got some new personnel coming in next year over in the purchasing side, so we've got to make some adjustments to give everybody the appropriate room that's needed. I think the last thing we really wanted to talk about is just items for the court to discuss and some direction that we're looking at. We've got the old JP4 building in McGregor that we'd like to see about selling in the near future. And then we've got 2 lots of land over on Sealy that are just vacant lots that we've had possession of for quite some time. And we've got a lot over on Orchard Lane. I think the lot over on Orchard Lane is kind of tricky because it's labeled as a park or recreational park. So we may have some issues with that, but we wanted to bring that to court to kind of discuss those particular properties and the sale of those to get them off of our list.
Okay. All right. Any other, any questions for TJ or Zane or Ken? All right. Anything else in your report?
No, sir, that about covers it. Zane, can you think of anything else?
No, that covers it. I'm glad you mentioned the 2 lots on Sealy and the one on Orchard Lane. One on Orchard Lane, it has been, the county received it with the understanding that it would be developed into a park. And so by deed restrictions, it has to be a park or it has to go back to family members.
Okay, well, I'd ask Commissioner Miller to kind of look in that, get information on it, and Commissioner Perry on the 3 pieces of property in McGregor. There's been some discussion on that, but see if we want to try to move forward and getting those sold or have some kind of disposition of those properties. Okay. All right. If there's not anything else, is there a motion to approve the report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any other discussion? Discussion off the vote.
Commissioner Smell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Perry.
Okay, pass. All right, is there anything else to come before the court? If not, well, we stand adjourned.